Hi, I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. A new study, very interesting study with far-reaching effects across the West. We've been inundated by wildfire smoke the last 2 summers, and I really think this is pertinent. I've had so many questions and really haven't had an answer for how all the wildfire smoke impacts weather, climate. And this is a really interesting study, so I'll jump right into it. Now, basically, the bottom line is they looked at wildfire smoke and the effects on precipitation in the form of an actual study. So there's the study, and actually just came out in late July. I read through it. I put the link right there if you want to read it for yourself. I always encourage you to do that anyway. Don't always take my word for it. Go and look at it yourself. But the study looked at the 2018 wildfire season and the far-reaching effects. I mean, there was smoke across most of the West during the time frame that they studied this, and the whole idea was to see what the impact would be at cloud level on precip and to some degree temperature, although there was more of a certainty on the effect of precip. And that's what I found to be very interesting about this. They concluded that the smoke overall might decrease precipitation amounts across the West in general. That's a huge finding. Obviously, future studies will have to be done, and I've done a lot of simplification on this. So if you really want to see all the numbers and everything, go and read the full study right there. Really interesting. First of all, the graphic right here. You can see all the wildfires that were burning. They've marked them all. They did not sample all of them, but they sampled a lot of them. There were fires burning in Colorado. They did not sample those. There were fires burning in Utah. Those weren't sampled, but all of the rest, you can kind of see the course. If you look at the study, you can see the course and the flying. They flew through all of these clouds and did samples. So they found that the wildfire smoke generated about 5 times more cloud condensation nuclei. So let me break that down for you. In other words, there are these small particles, these aerosols, these very small aerosol sizes that get blown up into the atmosphere, much like a volcano would blow all of these small particles into the atmosphere. Now, at first glance, you would say, wow, that's going to be great for making new clouds and precipitation. But what they actually found was the opposite. And here's the kicker. Because the CCN, or cloud condensation nuclei, was half the size of the normal that you might expect to make clouds. So in other words, the particles that were being blown up into the atmosphere were too small. That is the bottom line from the smoke. Too small from the wildfires. So the smaller CCN generated less precipitation overall. They found when they looked at the significance intervals, the confidence intervals, that there was less precip as a result of this smoke and the wildfire smoke. So that helped them to posit a number of different outcomes, possible future scenarios. One would be a drier scenario. If there's more wildfires burning across the West, then you're overall going to see a drier pattern across the West. And that could become a feedback loop. One could feed on the other, and you could see a downward spiral in that situation. But again, that's all just posited possible scenarios. Also, there were some other things that they had some interesting questions. Does it affect deeper convective processes? In other words, thunderstorm activity. Would it affect that? They said it probably could. That I find interesting. Now, more from the mountain meteorological perspective and more in my wheelhouse is with the sort of the depth of these areas of precip being affected, the depth of the clouds, because with the smaller CCN, you're going to reduce the depth of the clouds. That could have an impact on orographic precip. In other words, the amount of snow or rain that would fall at ski areas. That's the bottom line. Would that also decrease, or would you see more precip higher up on the mountain? That is something that we have to look at. But what they found in the confidence interval, that it certainly affected overall precip in a negative way. All right, so those were very interesting. And they talked about possible effects on temperature, but there were no solid conclusions. They thought it might drive the temperature down because you get more albedo as the sun gets blasted like a mirror back into space, but that was a less significant finding. They weren't able to say that with as much degree of certainty. All right, so there you go. Check out the study I'll leave it right there. You can get the link if you want. Appreciate you tuning in here for these videos. Love doing them. Take care.